you can start to realize, ooh, wait, this is actually affecting my life. Like, is it for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 30, 40? Can I continue in the way we've been doing it? What kind of boundaries do I need to have around my time? Are there awkward situations where you're not being treated well that you need to have boundaries around? Consider what your hot spot is. What's the recurring stressor in your step family life that you really need to get a handle on in order for your stress levels to lower and for you to feel like you're getting your life back? What are some results that you would like to get out of your conversation with your partner about your hot spot? There's all this great advice for stepmoms, but have you ever felt like it's not possible to put it into practice because you didn't know how to communicate with your partner? How do we set our boundaries while deepening our connections? Over 70% of stepmoms leave or are asked to leave in the first 5 years of step parenting. That's a huge price to pay for not communicating well, not communicating effectively. Step family life is complicated, and communication is going to be one of your most powerful tools for deepening your connections, for setting your boundaries, for getting the life you really want. I'm going to share with you a 4-step method called STAR for communicating your needs and your ideas that you may still be brainstorming around with your partner in a way that helps them feel included and valued, and like what they need is also being considered, and that your top priority is a healthy relationship. You can make such a difference in the quality of your connection with your partner. That's the good news here. All right. What is the STAR method? It's STAR. The STAR method is 4 elements that make for very productive, constructive conversation. The first element is situation. You are describing to your partner what the situation is and how it's impacting you. If you go down below, there's a link down below, and you can take an assessment that will help you get clear on what your priorities are in terms of what you need to resolve soonest in order to have less stress in your step family for yourself, less stress, and where you need to set some boundaries. Some of those you have total control over, and some of those you share control with your partner. I'd like for you to pause for a moment before we go on to the T, the A, and the R in STAR, and consider what your hot spot is. What's the recurring stressor in your step family life that you really need to get a handle on in order for your stress levels to lower and for you to feel like you're getting your life back? That would be the situation. 2 of the areas where you share control are, how are you going to set up the structure for the household, right? How are you going to set up your routines? Things like, where are people going to put things away? Who's going to do what when? Who's going to pay for what manners are going to be enforced and what aren't going to be enforced. The other area that you have shared control in is, how are you and your partner protecting your household from people outside the household so that they're not sort of infecting your relationship. And that's teamwork. That takes teamwork, which requires communication. You do have control, though, over part of that. And so what I want to talk to you about today is how to use the STAR method to share that control, but also for you to set boundaries. So if you're not in agreement with your partner about whether, for example, whether or not you will be there during drop-offs when the bio mom, let's say, is hostile towards you, you're done. You're done being there during that time. It's just too stressful. You're done. Let's say your partner, though, can't get off work and needs somebody to be there, right? And hasn't been in support of you not being there, right? All right, you got to figure something else out. And that's what the STAR method can help you do together. And you can set a boundary saying, I'm not going to be there. We got to figure something else out. And it's giving your partner advance notice. Like, I need to have this conversation with you. Let's schedule a time. I would really like to have 20 minutes to sit down, or maybe we go for a walk and we talk about what's happening in the car when I am taking the kids to school, your kids to school. I need to talk with you about that because I am having a hard time with it, and I'm concerned that it's going to affect my health and it's going to affect my relationship with your kids and my relationship if we don't get this figured out. So I'd be really grateful if we could sit down for 20 minutes on Tuesday in the morning before you go to work. That was an example, just off the cuff. Now, the T is the target. It's what you want to accomplish during that conversation. There are two paths this can take, and I'm sure there's a third and a fourth that you can think of too, but I want to share with you two. One is you want to announce to your partner that you're going to do something differently in order to take care of yourself. And you announce that in a way that softens the blow, that deepens connection, right? And we'll talk about that. The other way, the other path is to work something out together to come up with a new way of doing things. So one, you're announcing you've already made a decision. The other is let's figure this out together. I'm going to tell you, they're both fine. They're both totally fine. It's how you approach it. All right. So the A, let's move on to the A. The A is action. How are you going to have that conversation? This is where the future you can make such a difference in your life. And what do I mean by that? I believe we all have a future us. I have a future me, and she is healthier, she is happier, she is stronger, she is wiser, great deep friendships. She has a really trust-built relationship with her partner, is more financially secure, and really loves her life. That's the future me. And as long as I stay in touch with that part of myself, these decisions about how to interact with my partner are so much more straightforward. Oh my gosh. The A in STAR, the action. How are you going to take action together in this conversation that's going to lead you to that future? All the options of how you could possibly communicate with your partner come into focus when you see them as a stepping stone towards your future self. Action is how you set up the conversation. In order for the communication to not be something that blows up your relationship, we want to avoid what the Gottman Institute refers to as the four horsemen. In the Bible, in the New Testament, during the apocalypse, there's a metaphor that depicts the end of times, and they are the four horsemen. It's the same is true in a relationship. When you start to notice, number one, criticism happening, either you're criticizing your partner or they're criticizing you, contempt for one another, the defensiveness that can come up, or stonewalling. Those are four indicators that communication is broken down, boundaries are not clear, expectations are not clear, and it's time to get clear. The action could be, all right, let's ask each other a lot of questions rather than telling each other a lot of things. Action could be, we are going to be in a private setting. We're going to do this when the kids are nowhere near. They're not home, when there's a lot of spaciousness. We could just limit ourselves to 10 minutes in the car to get the conversation started. It could be through a method maybe that we've learned in couples counseling with our partner. It could be in a different way. We could intentionally build in a lot of pauses where we just both stop and breathe, just kind of recenter. And this doesn't mean you have to have lost your center to begin with. It's a way to maintain as well. Now, what is it that breaks up step families? It tends to be a lack of mutual respect for boundaries, burnout by the stepmom, burnout by the partner, burnout by the stepkids, like burnout. And one of the reasons for burnout is your stepkids, your partner, you, others may not be clear with each other about what your roles are, the expectations that you're setting for each other, and what you will and will not do, and being clear with yourself. about what you can and cannot handle long term. In communication, we can figure a lot of that out and we can set a lot of boundaries in healthy ways. The STAR method can help you do this. What is the R? The R. All right. R is results. What are the results you're aiming for here? Let's go back to those two paths. The first path was to announce to your partner that you've made a decision. In the past, I didn't have a clear sense of what results I wanted. I'd express my feelings, and there would be kind of this biochemical hit from saying what I felt was right and wanting to be heard and feel less alone and feel supported and like I could trust my partner. That was all operating. That's a lot about me benefiting from the conversation. What about my partner? What about your partner? What's the result for them? Having that shifted me when I realized I needed a result that was actually going to benefit our relationship, which meant it had to benefit both of us. The STAR method is all about increasing your trust for one another. And I'm just want to emphasize this for you, increasing your trust in yourself. Your primary relationship is with yourself. You're always going to be with yourself from birth until the end. It's always you. The other people come and go. You are 24/7, 365 for however many years. That's a long time. So I want you to trust you, to set boundaries in ways that can deepen connections with your partner and when you're with your stepkids whenever possible, so that you can enjoy your life, you can enjoy yourself, and you can feel that you are growing and learning and free to move about your life in a way that's more natural and authentic for you. Maybe there's been 15 conversations or just one before where you said, "Hey, this I'm having a really hard time with car rides, right? Taking the kids to school." And you haven't been able to work this out with your partner in the past. And you realized, okay, there's a part of this I don't need my partner for in order to set boundaries. So maybe you decided, I am only taking the kids 1 day a week to school instead of 3 or 4 or 5. And we're going to have to figure that out together because I'm done. All right. So now it's time to make that announcement. We can fall short here because we think we're going to have a conversation with our partner and we're not really conscious about what the result is that we're going towards. We just want agreement, or we want to be heard, or we want to sort of get something out of our system. When we are really conscious about the result of all of that, again, it helps us to take steps to get there along the way. One of the results I aim for a lot is a sense of respect, that my partner feel respect, like honored, that his needs, his feelings, even if they don't agree with mine, I'm still acknowledging their value. I'm not necessarily going to design my life around them, but I am appreciating them and not insulting them. That's important. And for him to feel like he can trust me. So this is where your result is about what next, right? So we can move forward from the conversation with a feeling that we still trust each other, even if I've decided to set a boundary that is hard for him. Ideally, the result would be that your partner and you would both feel really good about the decisions that were made. Being able to communicate to ourselves that we're going to set boundaries and communicate to others that we matter in a way that doesn't make them not matter. Then there's that intimacy and mutual trust that can develop. The STAR method is like a North Star. Let it be your North Star. Let it be the direction you go with your relationships in your step family. With communication, you can go very far as a stepmom and beat the odds. If you haven't already, I do suggest taking that assessment. You can share the results with your partner. Check the results out first by yourself, I would say, and privately take the assessment so that you can determine what you'd be comfortable sharing with your partner. And that can be maybe your first STAR conversation. I hope this helps. I'll see you in the next video.